Hey everyone, Jeremy here. It's Tuesday night, not Wednesday night. I completely forgot that I was going to do Wednesday nights. So I guess I'm stuck with Tuesdays because the habits that I have, it's just, I'm used to it. So we're just going to go with Tuesday. Um, but yeah, so it's Tuesday night and we're going to create some art. It's going to be awesome. I see there's a couple of people already in the chat, which is awesome. I always love having people to talk to. I really appreciate you guys. We got Marble in here, we've got Kid, and yeah, so if you guys want, we can just jump right to it. So what are we working on tonight? Well, I was thinking about my messy charcoal pictures, and I was thinking like, I'm really enjoying doing those, but I wanted to kind of still experiment a little bit. So tonight, I think I'm going to go with a messy white charcoal picture. I don't think I've ever done one of those. If I had, I can't recall. But usually so you can see over here, there's a couple of pictures that I've done in white charcoal on black paper. Sometimes I use white pencil, but tonight I'm going to use white charcoal. But usually they're a bit more controlled. Um, Drink your brush water on Wednesday. Yeah, I am going to do some watercolors later in the week, but tonight I'm going to do some dry medium. But yeah, so like I've done a few white pictures on black paper, and I think I even have one over here that's kind of like pink and blue on black paper. I like the effect. I enjoy doing those, but I haven't done one of those messy type things. So like with my messy charcoal, I just put charcoal all over the paper and then try to form something out of it. So um, if I go to the full view, you can see I have white paper here, and I think, and I've got some like white charcoal. I've got a white charcoal pencil. I've got some erasers. So I'm thinking the process is going to be very similar, where I just put a bunch of white down and then kind of like try to form a face out of it. But it's doing it in the inverse. So like instead of like lifting charcoal to create highlights, I have to lift white charcoal to create shadows. And I don't know how that's going to go because like I've got the kneadable eraser that I usually use for that kind of stuff, but there's only so fine a point I can get. So I've got this other eraser with like like hard edges on it. I'm gonna try to see if I can get some fine detail out of that. I have no idea how this is going to go, just because I'm not used to doing this. But we'll give it a shot. That's what these streams are all about. Just experimenting with you guys. I feel like you guys don't judge me too harshly when things don't go right. So I can't predict the future. I'm just going to jump right in after I have a swig of my bourbon. But feel free to chat in the room, and I'll be hanging out with you guys the whole time. Um, like I said, I'm going to try yeah, exactly opposite of what I'm used to. So that's the challenge. The challenge is, can I do similar things, but in a completely opposite way? I don't know. I have no idea. I don't think it's going to be that weird, but it's definitely going to be different. And I think I'm going to run into some challenges when I get to like some of the details because I'm used to doing those in pencil. Um, and I might actually, I do have some charcoal pencils over here. I might actually pull those out on some of those fine details if I need to. But I just like making a mess. And that's really what it is. I like making messes and having some fun with it. Um, and just like, just seeing how it goes. I feel like a lot more free when I make messes than when I'm, kind of constrained with drawing straight lines and precision and all that stuff. But yeah, so I have done some pastel pictures before, kind of similar to this, but I haven't used the method where I'm lifting pastel up with like an eraser. So I think that's what's going to be weird, is like creating shadows by using the eraser. I just like making marks, um, kind of seeing where they go. I do have a reference picture, but usually like when I do these things, I only loosely look at the reference picture. I don't stick to it that much. I use the reference picture mostly to figure out where highlights should be on a person and basic, facial structure, things like that. Things that I don't have like memorized or whatever. But anyway, there, big old mess. So what I'm kind of curious about is how that blends. This is also like, this paper doesn't have a it's not very toothy, right? So like because it's not very toothy, I have no idea how it's going to blend. It seems to be doing okay though. It might need, I guess, multiple coats, layers, however you want to describe that. Yeah, it'd be like painting, I think, where I'm going to have to put in multiple layers of pigment here just to get, where I want to be. But it's kind of got this cool little ghostly effect. I think that's kind of cool. Like if I remember to around Halloween, maybe I'll do this and call it a ghost. Let's see, get some next stuff going here. I do like doing this. This is a lot of fun. For those of you who don't work with dry mediums, um, it is a lot of fun. You guys should give it a shot. I think the ear would be around there. So kind of to reinforce some of this, get some more pigment in there. Hey Richard, how's it going? Thanks, great awesomeness. I do strive to be awesome, it's a challenge. It's a challenge because not everybody can be as awesome as I am. I'm just kidding. I still have the dream. I have some street chalk, and I still have the dream of going out to a park and doing this on like a sidewalk. I think I'm going to do that before it starts getting cold. 'Cause, like I picked up the street chalk at like a yard sale just for that purpose. So I've just been busy. I haven't had really the chance to go out and do that, but it's on my list. I really want to do it. It does kind of look electric. That's unintentional. Really, I have no idea how this might work for like what it might end up looking like. I think it'll look cool, but I have really no clear idea. It might look overdone just because I'm not used to doing it. With like the black charcoal, I kind of know what's a proper amount and what isn't. Like I know when I've overdone the picture or something like that. But this is what I like. See, so I'm starting to get some lighter areas versus like the darker area in the cheek. Well, like hopefully it's starting to look like a face. But as long as I can get those different values in here, then I'm good. Like if for some reason it starts going weird where I'm not getting, believable values. I mean, this might be a short stream, but I'll do my best. And then the other question is like, how much of this can I actually lift out? Because like if I end up not being able to create really dark areas after putting all this pigment down, then I'm going to end up having to like go to like excessive use of like actual black charcoal, which I really don't want to do. I want to stick with the white charcoal as much as possible just to prove the like I don't mind using a little bit of black charcoal. Like I even use like a little bit of white charcoal when I'm doing my black charcoal pictures. So I don't mind using a little bit, but to keep with the, trying to get what I can out of this white charcoal, I want to avoid it. So here's my first test with lifting. Let's see. Oh, that works nicely. Look at that. Nice. We might be in business, guys. If I can get some of the shadows into this neck, kind of blend out the edges so that it doesn't look so rough. Yeah. All right, cool. I mean, it's fun to experiment, and especially when it starts working out. Let me round off her cheek here. The other thing is I'm creating a face. I do have like a reference model, but it's not like I'm starting with guidelines or anything like that. I'm just kind of figuring out where different pieces might be on the page. So whenever I do that, I run the risk of like creating really exaggerated proportions or things that just aren't in the right place and so on. So hopefully none of that kind of stuff will happen tonight. Right now she looks like a kind of like a dead woman because like she has no eyes. But yeah, it's kind of like relief sculpting and drawing. Like in fact, I often look at the messy charcoal pictures as sculpting because you're kind of sculpting a face Now, I mean, you're using paper. It's not like clay or anything like that, or stone, but it does feel like it. Like you're kind of carving into the page sometimes, and then you're like extruding pieces with highlights. So yeah, it could kind of be a look like that. So I think her brow or like her part will be around here. So I'll kind of come back and reinforce that here in a bit. So let me see what happens if I use this pencil. Yeah. So yeah, this I think this will work, guys. Dead women with no eyes. Yeah, Marvel's gonna have nightmares. Ever since that one stream where she said that, like, oh no, those eyes are gonna give me nightmares, I've been conscious of that. So here, let me because I kind of want to do that anyway. Let me kind of figure out. So I think her eye. It's still gonna look freaky, guys, but I think her eye is going to be basically there, and then over here. And this is all tentative, right? So I can still move this stuff just by blending it out, adding some more pigment, just basically brushing over it. Um, so now she just looks really squinty-eyed, but I want her to have like, decent sized eyes. So we'll work on it. It's a work in progress, guys. So around her eye, of course, it's going to be a little bit wider. So I'll go ahead and put some of that stuff in, and then maybe she'll look like less weird. And then over here, just like a little bit. There you go. All right, now she doesn't look. Now she looks like an alien. So she's gone from a dead woman to an alien in a matter of seconds. Oh, maybe this isn't going to turn out well. Well, there goes all my confidence. I'm just kidding. It's going fine. So her nose should line up with this side of her iris. So I'll go ahead and kind of just add like a ridge here. Kind of blend that in a little bit. And then probably come out a little bit here. So I think her eye is going to be kind of like there. Get kind of a nose line. Yeah, she totally does look like an alien, but that's okay. Aliens are people too. What do you got against aliens? Who cares? I mean, our last stream we were talking all about how aliens are here and stuff like that. We better start like being nice to them so they don't take us over. So let's see. I think the angle of her nose is going to be basically that. Something like that. And again, we're just building structure here. We're not worried about details. We're trying to figure out, what's her basic face shape, where everything is. Like, are we basically, so here's the nose. So like if I have the edge of her lip kind of stop there, I'm good. Just basic structure, building form, essentially. Giving her those nice alien features. That's really what this is all about. I just want to get good with the aliens so they don't, so they leave me off their list of abductees. So each time I add more pigment, as you can see, it gets a little bit lighter. Now, it seems like on this black paper, it takes several layers, but I think we're good as far as like proof of concept. I think we're going to be able to make a picture out of this. So this might represent her hairline, I think. And then this side comes up a little bit. And it kind of comes in. I know that looks weird, but we'll Here, I'll go ahead and do it now. So lift some of this up. Hey, Toxins. Oh, and I forgot to say, hey, who cares? Who cares? Hey, who cares? I love it. I like the name though. Yeah, so this is what so like as far as getting detail in here, like the hair part and stuff like that, I think that that might be a bit of a challenge because like this doesn't completely erase things and stuff like that. But, I'll deal with that later. Like I just want to kind of remind myself that this is hair. Like it doesn't completely pick up the white charcoal. But there's an ear over here somewhere too. Maybe she'll look less alien if I put in an ear. Let's see. I think, all right, so the ear is going to be basically like she's got like the kind of ear that kind of just comes out the side and everything. I don't know. The distance between the eye and the ear, I think I should move that over a little bit. Kind of bring it down. Kind of lines up with the base of the nose, so right around here. I think that's the basic ear, but we'll work on it. Let me just kind of blend that in into like an ear-like shape so that I have something to work with. Oh, I forgot to do your mod. So sorry. I can't do it during a stream. If you're around at the end, remind me. But I'll let me just make a note of it. I really don't think I can do it during a stream. If not, well, I'm just going to do it after the stream. But thanks for reminding me. I completely forgot. I get so wrapped up in the art. Made a note. I will make you a mod. Hey, Mama Q. Yeah, so I'm trying to do like a reverse messy charcoal picture. So I'm going to kind of try this eraser out. See, now that makes like a finer line. Even though it's a big chunky eraser, you can use the edge of it to kind of lift up some of that stuff in a more precise way than maybe you could with the kneadable eraser. But I'll go back to the kneadable eraser and just give it a shot. The kneadable eraser is super sticky, so as far as like lifting up areas, it's really, really good for that. It's just, doing that with precision. So I know that looks weird, but that's just because I haven't done the side of her nose yet. So let me do that so that it doesn't look too weird for too long. So getting a bit of a nose there. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that you weren't feeling well. Yeah, she looks like an evil alien right now, Jason. Welcome to the show, by the way. But we'll see how long that lasts. So usually they look weird until I add, like additional features around the eye. So kind of try to carve that out. It's such a fat eraser though, so like it's a little bit challenging to get fine details in there. There you go. Maybe she looks less weird now. Yeah, anybody who wants a wrench, I don't care. I'll give you guys a wrench. Like, don't abuse it because then I'll have to like take it away and stuff. That would be weird. I don't even know what the wrench is for. I guess you can delete comments or something like that, or let's kind of put in a little bit of shade for eyebrows so that she doesn't look so weird. So again, now that I kind of know the basic form of her face, I feel more comfortable putting in like placeholders, I like to call them, I guess, for some of these other features. So like her eyebrows, I might move her eyebrow around, I might make it thinner, I might make it wider or something like that. But it helps to kind of have these things in just kind of as like waymarks, I guess, or waypoints. There you go. Waypoints, like on a map. So we're basically mapping her face. Like in 3D. So it is kind of like sculpting. Yeah, most of the people who show up are well behaved. Like I've been really blessed that way. I haven't really had to deal with like any assholes or anything yet. That's not an invitation. Don't start being an asshole just because I haven't. Um, like that's one of my like I don't know how to mod and draw at the same time. So like I'm hoping I don't have to deal with that, but I know that like if I do end up like I still don't have like a lot of viewers or subscribers or anything, so it's not a big deal right now. But if I keep doing this and more people keep showing up and stuff, I think eventually I'll run into like an issue, but that's future Jeremy problems. I'm not really worried about it right now. You guys are all super nice, like way nicer than like I deserve. Like you guys are just awesome. Flips. No flipping tables. Yeah. So, anyway, it was a good discussion on Friday. We were like we were talking about aliens and we were talking about all kinds of weird stuff. It's pretty cool. I'm into all that stuff, by the way. Like, I'm a pretty skeptical person, but I still like to explore these type things. Like, like I don't think Bigfoot exists, but I love a good conversation about Bigfoot. And I am pretty in like I am into like some um, you know, pretty strange things like I'm really into like the whole simulation argument. Like I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that. Like the idea that we live in a simulation. I love conversations like that. Just what ifs kind of conversations. Yeah, so we got a basic mouth going here. We got some eyes. This is going way better than I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be like super hard just because I'm not used to it. Working in reverse. Because you really are just like basically doing the opposite of everything that you're used to doing. Um, Usually I'm only using the eraser to make highlights. So like here I'm creating shadows, but if you're practiced in just drawing shapes as you see them, theoretically it shouldn't be too different, right? Like you're just drawing different like shapes in different places. In fact, this might be a good exercise if you're learning to draw. Like I remember sometimes that people come in here for like education, even though you really shouldn't. I'm not a very good educator. But if you are trying to like learn how to draw or something, this is a good exercise because it forces you to forget what you know, right? So like you could draw something from muscle memory. Like if you draw a bunch of faces and stuff like that, you can just draw it from memory. But doing it this way, you have to like forget what you know about faces and draw the actual shapes with a different tool, right? So like I'm using a completely different tool here. Usually I would be using a pencil or something to draw these type of fine features. To use the edge of a kneadable eraser, a little strange to me. But we're up for the challenge, guys. It's actually um, it's actually kind of fun. I like working with the values here, just lifting little things up. It's all about like creating form and refining it, and you know, you basically end up doing the same areas over and over again until like you get to where you want to be. But it's cool. Oh, this is pretty incredible. That's a great compliment. Just a minute ago, you were saying it looks like an alien. It did look like an alien. I completely agree. I could have just stopped and I would have had the best alien I've ever drawn. I've drawn some aliens too. Like I mentioned, you know, back in the day when the X-Files was on and stuff, that was my show. Of course, I've drawn some aliens in my day. I just love that show. It's kind of a shame that it ended, but you know, all good things come to an end. Just kind of lift up some of that white to get some hair going. So the hair kind of comes out from behind the ear. Just kind of blend it, kind of figure out where the hair is going to be. And then on this side, it's going to be mostly in shadow, but I'll get like a little bit going. You know, get some wisps of hair coming off. That's so much fun when you just like basically just create some random lines places. But that's part of the process. So like you create these random lines just as kind of like guidelines so you know where things are. Hey, who cares? She got what you talking about, Willis, on her face? Well, I can't promise that her face isn't going to change because it probably will as we go along. We usually do. Trying to let me make sure that the eyes are kind of lined up here. That's important to me to make sure that, you know, the eyes are correct on both sides, or at least that they match, right? So like that's always a challenge, you know, when you're drawing eyes, here's a tip, I guess. When you're drawing eyes, you should create both eyes at the same time because if you do like one eye and then you come back like later and do the other eye, there's no guarantee they're going to match. You really have to work on both of them at the same time. So I think for like some of these fine lines, I will probably switch to like a charcoal pencil just because I want them to be darker than I'll probably be able to get just lifting pastel off the or white charcoal, I guess, off of the page. Smeagol's sister. You guys should be patient. Give it some time. It's not going to look like Smeagol when it's done. Jeez. It does kind of look like Smeagol. It's the squinty eyes, I think. Give it a moment. I'm only focusing on the eyes because like you know, like you guys seem to inform your opinion based on what the eyes look like at any given moment. Should be a little patient. You'll see, I think. There you go. See how round that eye is now? It's not starting to take some form, guys. You guys never have any faith. All right, so they're basically on the same line, so I'm pretty happy with that. And again, I don't mind using a little bit of black charcoal, just like I don't mind using a little bit of white charcoal when I'm doing the black one, just because it's such a fine line above her, like her eyelid, that I kind of want to be a little bit more precise on that. Bear with me a moment. She looks a little annoying. Well, you know, she's what, 30 minutes old, so she's a she's a newborn here, guys. Of course, she's gonna look a little annoyed. Let's see, get some shadow in that eye. So a lot of things that like a lot of people don't remember or don't think about like when they're drawing that the eyes have a lot of shadow in them. So like eyes are round to begin with, and Different things like help inform those shadows. So like, the lid and so on. But like even her eyelashes and stuff, they're going to cast a little bit of a shadow. So let's see if I can blend some of this out to make that kind of softer and get some of that shadow in there. Well, I don't know what her expression is going to be until it's done. We'll have to see. She may continue to be annoyed or she may end up smiling. I don't know. We'll see. A lot of it comes together at the last minute, like because there's little tweaks, like so yeah, okay, that's important to talk about, I guess. So like if you don't like the direction your picture is going, it really is a small tweak to turn somebody's expression, right? So like you could have a little bit of a like an uptick on her mouth, and then she's like smiling, you know. You can add a little bit of um, highlight in her eye, and then it's almost like she's got a twinkle in her eye, that sort of thing. It's these little tiny things that make up an expression, and it usually comes together at the end. I really don't know. Let's see. I think her eyelashes are kind of a little bit down there. Yeah. So that's a good start for an eye, I think. Let me kind of blend some of this white out here to create a shadow. That's going to come down to right around here. So how's your guys' week going so far? Um, I know I had talked about maybe doing Wednesdays and stuff, but like I had it in my calendar already to do the stream tonight, and I completely forgot about that conversation. It was only last week that I had to do Wednesday. So by the time I realized that, I'd already created the stream for tonight, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to go back on it again. That's kind of rude. Um, so I think I'll just stick with the Tuesdays. They seem to work better with my schedule anyway. I like breaking it up a little bit to where, like, the Wednesday felt too close to Friday, to be honest. But it's kind of up to you guys. Like, if you guys, well, it's kind of up to us together, right? So, like, if you guys prefer Wednesdays, and there's like a lot of people who prefer Wednesdays, I don't mind doing Wednesdays. But otherwise, I think Tuesdays is good. One of these days, I'll probably like if I end up with more free time, which I'm not, right? Like right now, I'm working on a bunch of projects where I don't have a lot of free time. But if I end up with a lot of free time, I'll do a stream every day. I don't care. Sometimes I do drawings every day, even if they're like small ones. So like I don't know, like an hour stream or something per day. That's not completely inconceivable. See how like just a little bit of highlight is creating more structure to her cheek. It's kind of cool. I'm fascinated by drawing just as much as anybody else. It's kind of funny. Oh, how's my world? It's been busy. I've been busier than I'd like to be, but I've got basically a couple of software projects that are due by November. Um, so I'm working, I don't know, at least 10 hours a day on that kind of stuff, and then still trying to have a life. It's easy when you don't have much of a life to begin with. Like I'm not a big partier or anything like that. I don't go out as often as I used to when I was a little bit younger. So I don't mind it. I'd rather be busy now than not. So Um, I work for myself essentially. I do mostly freelance software development. So as a freelance software developer, you don't really, punch out. Like you don't have set hours. You just basically you do the job, get it done, and then you move on to the next project. I try to structure my life where I do have some sort of structure to it so that it's not completely chaotic, but it's still pretty chaotic. Yeah, so it's not green numbers. That's like that's a throwback to the Matrix and the old computers that used to have the green text on the screen. It's still it's basically white text now, but yeah, programmers often use the dark mode on the IDE. It's called in my case Visual Studio. But yeah, I have a dark background with white text on it. But yeah, I mean, you joke, but I do dream in code. It's kind of odd because like programming syntax is often like like actually like foreign languages, and I make the joke, but it's not really a joke that I speak several languages. They just happen to be computer languages. So like I speak C sharp, I speak JavaScript, I speak PHP, I speak Python, I speak all the different database like syntaxes, and they're all similar, but they all have like different syntaxes. So it's almost like I don't know, like the Latin languages. So like the same word is kind of similar in English as it is in German, as it is in French, and so on. But there's like small changes between them. Just fixing up her forehead. There you go. All right. Does she look less annoyed yet? She's right. Yeah, so like Mama Q, the way it goes is, sometimes you're super busy, and then other times you have nothing to do. That's how freelance work goes. So like, I haven't cracked the nut yet on, you know, keeping it consistent. I've only been doing this for a couple of years. I used to have a full-time job, um, but I haven't made it to where I constantly have work yet. So, when I get the work, I keep busy. When I don't get the work, I have some off time and I draw pictures. All right, so I should probably develop this eye a little bit, but this one's a good start. Maybe a little bit wider than I wanted. Might be able to tinker with that a little bit. Like really, this should stop here. So see how you can kind of adjust things a little bit. So I took like a millimeter off of her eye there, and as soon as I'm done tinkering with that, it looks a little bit different. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't look that different to you guys. All right, so I'm going to move on to this other eye. Get some definition going. First, I'm going to scrape off some of this white here. Oh yeah, Richard, I appreciate that. Yeah, so like if you guys do enjoy this, make sure you like it, and I think everybody in here is already a subscriber, so I do appreciate that. And the other thing is, feel free to leave comments and stuff. I try to reply to them. I've been kind of busy lately, so I haven't been replying to everything the day I get them, but I do go in there and read them. And I appreciate the feedback from you guys. Also, the kind of comments that I'd like to get from you guys, like if you don't have anything that you guys can think of to leave as a comment, is I'm constantly wondering what you guys want to watch, right? So like I'll do anything. I'll draw pictures of anything. I'll try different techniques. You know, the reason why I do like watercolor, for example, is because some of the viewers have expressed that they do watercolor themselves, and they basically challenged me to give it a shot. Um, it's probably not something that I would have like tackled without that kind of feedback. So if there's something that you guys would like me to draw in particular, or some sort of thing that you guys would like me to try, that's the kind of stuff I like hearing, because then I don't have to think too much about like like tonight, I was wondering, well, do I want to try to paint tonight? Do I want to draw a picture? If so, what am I going to draw? Did a Q&A? Yeah, I mean, like, basically ask me anything. If you guys want to do a Q&A, I'm up for that. It'd be really cool if you did a Q&A. If that's what you meant by QA, like, I don't know. She is about to hack somebody. She's about to hack you, Mama Q. Better watch out. Nah, she'll lighten up here in a minute. I hope. All right, so let me get some eye structure here. Maybe she'll lighten up a little bit for you guys. So I want to make sure that these lines that I'm drawing are on the same line as the other ones. So I'm looking less at my reference picture and I'm looking at my own picture. Um, I look at the reference picture to figure out like, yeah, okay, this is the basic shape of an eye or whatever. But for the most part, I want it to be internally consistent. So I want it to look consistent with the other eye in my own picture. Now, people have different eye shapes and like, somebody might have, like a lazy eye or something like that, where one eye isn't, perfectly matched up with the other one. That's all fine. People come in different shapes and sizes. Um, but oh, how much can I bench press? I, I don't know. 5 million pounds. I don't know. I do arm lifts. Yeah, I do like how much is the weight on there? I put it on like a long time ago and I forget. I want to say I'm gonna have to check. But I do 50 curls a day and I do 50 push-ups a day and I try to go for walks on a regular basis. So I try to keep in shape. Plus I eat a lot of junk food, so like when you do that, you do have to exercise. I eat a lot of junk food and I sit in a chair most of the day, so it's important to exercise. As far as like the actual weights and stuff, I'm gonna have to double check that because I don't remember. Do your coworkers' friends know that you make art? Yes, and they don't give a shit. I have so like I have people that I work with now, but I work remotely, so I don't have like coworkers in the traditional sense. But a lot of my friends are former coworkers back when I did go to like an office every day, and they all know that I have a channel, and they stop in every now and then. But they're not like you guys. They don't show up on like a regular basis. Like whenever we get together, they ask me how the channel's doing, things like that, but they don't have the interest in art that I have. So it's more like of a casual interest, or they show up to support me. They don't really show up because they actually care about the pictures I'm drawing, if that makes sense. Does cilantro taste like soap to you? Um, I don't think so. Like usually whenever I have cilantro, it's on like a taco or something like that, and then all I taste is taco. These are great questions, guys. Man, I feel like you guys have done interviews before. I am kind of curious on the weights now because like I put those on. They're like the little barbells that you put the round weights on and stuff, and I put them on like a long time ago. I want to say, um, let's see, 10. It'd be 10 on each side, and then two fives. I want to say it's like 20, 25, 30 pounds, something like that. But I don't want to say it and it not be true. So I'd have to double check on that. But long story short, yeah, I do think that people should exercise to kind of stay in shape and stuff. I don't care what I look like. I just want to live longer. Do I have any pets other than dogs? That's a great question. So I have a cat. So I have the dogs are Bear and Guinness, and then a lot of times I'm watching my parents' dog. Their dog is named Friday, and so I'm always watching their dog. And then I have a cat. His name is Archer. from the TV show Archer. I don't know if you guys ever watch that. That's a hilarious show, by the way. If you guys haven't watched it, I can recommend it. It's funny. Um, I think they're still making more of them, but it might be done with. I don't really know. But anyway, so I have a cat named Archer, and then I have a dwarf bunny, and the bunny's name is Test Subject B. That's just his name. Sorry, guys. I don't actually do tests on my bunny, but yeah, I have a little dwarf bunny, and it's super cute. I should show pictures of that the bunny sometime. The bunny's an outdoor bunny. Uh, Although I do think that you can have indoor bunnies, like running around and stuff. I think they use the litter box. I'm not really sure. Death Row dinner. Ooh, I haven't given that much thought. I don't plan on being on death row. Probably pizza. Well, if I'm on death row, I want to leave something behind. So I want a gigantic burrito. I love burritos. I love Mexican food in general. Tacos, burritos. By the way, it's Taco Tuesday. Let's see if I missed any in here. If I had three wishes, ooh, that's a good one. I'm gonna have to think about that one for a moment. All right, have it. If I don't see you later, have a good one, Marvel. Appreciate you stopping in. Um, Three wishes. One would be not to end up on death row. That's a good start. Um, the third one's always going to be I wish for more wishes. That's just like, the cheat that they never do in movies, but they really should. Because, like, if you can literally wish for anything and you're given a number of wishes, I think obviously you should wish for more wishes. So what's another one? I'm gonna be cheesy here and just say like I would love to be better at drawing. Like I want to be really good at drawing, and I don't know if I'm going to get to that point, but I'm enjoying it, so I'm gonna keep at it. Oh, make the yeah, but like if you become the genie, right? You have to do all the genie work. That's like a lot of responsibility. Imagine having all the control in the universe, right? So like you can run around and grant people's wishes and stuff. Um, and then like maybe somebody wishes for like the world to end. That's your fault. You did that. You made that happen. That's a lot of responsibility. Screw that. Jerry, did you know that Sasha's son is named Archer after Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool. Well, let her know that like my cat's name is Archer as well. That's a hilarious show. So I assume you guys watch it. That's a great show. I think my favorite on that show is Pam. She's hilarious. Oh, your favorite famous piece of art. That's a good one. Famous piece of art. Um, oh, that's really interesting because I like so many pieces. But the one that comes to mind just because you mentioned it, and I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's definitely one I keep coming back to. Is The Wanderer. It's by this German painter. Maybe you guys have seen it. It's got this German. I think he's German. He may be Austrian. I don't know. I don't know the difference to be honest. But he's a guy. He's standing on like a cliff ledge, looking out over these mountains, and there's like fog in them and stuff like that. That's a great question. So I'm gonna have to look that up and share that with you guys because it's every time I see it, it makes me want to like travel, go out adventuring. That's probably not the only one. I've got a personal favorite piece of art. It's just because I kind of grew up with it. So at the Cincinnati Museum, I used to skip school and go to the art museum. That's how much of a weird person I am. Like literally, I'm supposed to be at school getting an education. Instead, I'm skipping school to go to the nerdiest place that you can go to. So I would skip school and go to the art museum, and they had a Mark Rothko like abstract expressionist piece, and there's not much to it. It's just fields of color and everything like that. But for some reason, as a young teen, It just kind of like captured my interest and stuff. So like every time they still have it there. Every time I go back to the museum, I always like pay it a visit. So on a personal level, I'm not saying it's the best art. It's not my favorite piece of art. But on a personal level, that might be my favorite painting. Just because like it means something to me personally, if that makes sense. Wonder I have the Chase connection. Yeah, I think so. Oh, through the Chase. Oh man, if you ask me who my favorite artists are now, it's basically all those guys from Taos, New Mexico. Um, J.H. Sharp. I didn't really know about J.H. Sharp. Like Nikolai Fechin. I didn't really know about Nikolai Fechin. And like now I do, and that's kind of cool because like I love their style. That whole um, expressive style that I would love to get. I just don't know if I'll ever really be that good at that kind of stuff. Basically where you're just really free with your marks, your paintbrush, and so on. So like always got to get the Cupid bow. That's what this is called. Like it kind of comes around, kind of makes this little dip here. It, I never really paid attention until I started drawing these things, but it's always so highlighted. And I don't know if that's lip gloss or just the shape of it, but it's always like lit up right up top. So anyway, I think that's kind of cool. So you guys want her to lighten up and not be wanting to cast a hex on somebody, so I have to work on the expression a little bit here. So one way I can do that, like I said, is I can kind of pull up the corners of her mouth, I think. Not too much. I mean, I don't want it to look cartoony, but I can kind of pull that up. And then this line that kind of comes across here, if it lifts up at the corners, however she's actually feeling, kind of looks a little bit like a smile. And she doesn't look so grumpy. And bring this back down around here. And then same thing at the other end, kind of just curl it up slightly. You don't want the typical, smiley face where you guys know what I mean. Pinky Tuscadero. Hey, I know who you're talking about from Happy Days. Hey, thanks, Moon. Appreciate it. Oh, Ashley's in here. Hey, Ashley, how's it going? They're doing a Q&A with me tonight. I don't know why, but if you guys have any questions, even if I don't know the answer, I'll have to think up one. Um, like, I've never really given much thought to like three wishes, but it was asked, so I had to think about it. Favorite painting? I have so many. It's tough, but um, I can give a few. So as far as like painters in general, I really like the portrait painter John Singer Sargent. He's probably my favorite painter these days. Just because he made so many different portraits, you have like so many to like be in awe of, essentially. So if you got you latecomers, how old am I? Old enough. I'm in my 40s, but I'm not dead yet. Who are you drawing? This is just a random person. Just I do have a reference model, but it's like loosely based on the reference model. The what I'm going for here is kind of the reverse of what I usually do, which is a messy charcoal painting or a picture where I put down like a lot of black charcoal on white paper. Here I'm trying to put down a lot of white charcoal on black paper and see if I can do kind of the same thing. Which, I'm liking how it's turning out. I think it's working. So there is a highlight on this side that kind of defines this side of the face. Kind of comes up and just kind of catches the light. Kind of comes in. So if you were to just normally look at it without this highlight, it kind of goes all the way over. So this is where you kind of like reshape this side, right? And I was always planning on doing it, but I need to kind of call attention to it because like it's important. So you're redefining this side by giving this like little highlight that's kind of catching the light, and you're able to reshape the face at the same time. So I know that this should come out a little bit past the mouth here. Thanks, Willie. Do you sleep on your right side? Okay, so there's a funny story there. I sleep wherever the dogs let me sleep. Um, I should take a photo of that sometime. Literally, I have two dogs in the bed with me, and wherever I can fit in is where I sleep. So if you ask me like which side I sleep on, it's whatever side I can fit into the little box that they allow me to have. Basically, the animals rule this house. So again, this like little highlights catching the light here. So I'm using this to kind of like give her higher cheekbones than maybe what she had before. And I think I'm going to cap her chin here and then bring that up and around to kind of like give her a little bit of smaller face than what I had when I was just applying all of that the uh, the white. I think her face was a little bit wide. So again, it's not meant to be just like a line, so I do have to kind of smooth this out a little bit. Let's see. Hey, thanks, Lorraine. Yeah, basically, I don't freeze in the winter. So this does kind of come. So the mouth structure kind of also informs the profile, right? So like if you look at my face, oh, here we go. It comes down and then it kind of comes out a little bit here. Same deal on her face. So like it kind of comes out a little bit because this is really like a hump, essentially. I know it sounds weird to talk about people's faces like that, but you know, it's the way it is. All right, so moving along. All right, so we've got some decent lips here. We've got some eyes. Um, we can develop these eyes a little bit more. For example, there is a white highlight that comes in underneath the eye. I can get that in there. Yeah. This is like the upper side of the eyelid. And so that's there. Let's see. The $1 million question is how do we convince you to fill an art commission? Oh, somebody asked me about an art commission and I didn't get back with them. That sucks. All right. So I thank you for reminding me. I have to reply to that comment. Um, uh, fill an art. Basically, like at this point, I'm just drawing to have fun. So like if you guys have a request, I'll probably do it, to be honest. It doesn't really take much to convince me to fill like an actual request. Just because I'm not doing this professionally, it's just for fun. So throw your requests out there. It may not be something I get to right away, but you know, if it's a reasonable request, like if you guys, you know, want me to do something that I can't do, like I'll be honest with you guys and I'll just let you know. But I'm up for challenges, so bring it on. Kind of end that a little bit. There you go. All right, and then you know there is going to be like a highlight in the eye, but I think I'll save that for later. There's like a little bit of white here. So as you can see, it's kind of like goes light, shade, and then it catches the light on the very end. That's how you create form in these they're all like basically two-dimensional objects, but the more you know spend some time with it and create these different forms, the better the picture just ends up looking. But yeah, if you guys got like a request or something, just let me know. I've done commissions for some of you guys. You know, like you guys have asked me to do things, and um, the most recent one that I did last Friday, well, actually Tuesday and Friday, was for Gigi. You know, like her dog passed away and stuff like that. That always, you know, that's always something that um, I'm going to prioritize because I think that that helps with the grieving process. You know, when you have a drawing of your pet that passed away. So that's really, you know, I keep saying it, but it's true. Like that is where I feel like I'm doing the most important stuff. And it's definitely the most rewarding for me, like to bring comfort to somebody who just lost their pet. You know, you don't even have to ask twice on that. I'm almost always going to agree to that. But if you have like, I don't know, like a celebrity or something you want me to try to draw, you know, I'm cool with that. Have you ever done any clandestine art? What do you mean by clandestine art? Like spycraft? I'm not going to answer that question. No, I'm just kidding. That's a that's a great question, but I don't know how to answer that because I don't know what you mean by clandestine art. Um, like secret art? I have done some secret art. I mentioned here on this channel once before that I snuck down into like sewer tunnels, like drainage tunnels, and painted a mural on the wall there that I did just for fun, and I don't think anybody will ever actually see it. It was just me and my friends. We went down there by candlelight and actually created a mural on the wall. That kind of stuff's fun. Nothing like Banksy level or anything like that. Oh, graffiti. Yeah, I've done like that. I've never like even as a kid I didn't really do any of like what most people would consider graffiti. I appreciate the art form though. Like I know that for most people would see graffiti as like an eyesore or vandalism or something like that. I mean, yeah, sometimes like if somebody if somebody just you know does a lewd picture on the side of a wall, yeah, I get what you're saying. But as an art form, there's some really cool stuff that people have done as in you know there's graffiti, you know. And then murals. Murals are awesome, like street art in general. I made it out west. Was what was the question? Leroy. Yeah, Leroy was kind of clandestine art in a sense because, like, I didn't tell anybody that Leroy was my creation at first. I did that completely in the dark. I made it out west. I went to New Mexico. Um, I wasn't I wasn't very lucky, but I had a good time. Went camping with my dad and two brothers. It was fun. Didn't find anything. I've never been to some of the places that I really wish I had gone, like Yellowstone. In hindsight, that would have been awesome. I went through Colorado. That was cool. I like Colorado. Let's see. I don't know why I always seem to wait until the end to do the nose. I think I think I just noses make me nervous. Um, I would love to go to Finrock. Yeah, there you go. Going I mean, you get in trouble for doing that. That would definitely be clandestine art. Graffiti Fens Rock. I think if I did that, I would have to really put some thought into something that would be like honoring and not just like, you know, defacing, you know. Like I would want to actually put a memorial there. That would be cool. Get some shadow going over there. So I think if I can define this nose right, then a lot of it is just kind of touch up from there. Um, you know, getting in the hair and fixing some problem areas. Let's see. So this would be dark. through here. Kind of want to highlight this a little bit more because I think I got that angle wrong. There you go. Yeah, I went to New Mexico. So like I was a New Mexico searcher during the Forrest Fenn thing. Um, my spot was basically the same as everybody else who was in New Mexico. Like even if you weren't searching there, you went through there. But it's the Cimarron Canyon area, and it was awesome. Like I went with my dad and two brothers, and basically that whole Moreno Valley area. I mean, I went all over that place, and I got to tour the Taos Pueblo, which was super awesome. Um, the funny story about that is, like I have a little Nissan Versa, which is what I took out there just for the gas mileage because it's got really good gas mileage. But you really shouldn't be driving a Nissan Versa in the mountains. So I always had this idea that when I get out there, I would rent a four-wheel drive, and that's basically what I did. But when I got out there and I went to the rental place, they said the only four-wheel drive they had was out at the airport, and like they have a little airport there in Taos, and they uh, they said, well, this lady here can drive you out there, right? So it turns out that lady was actually she lived there at the Pueblo, and like she was a native. And it was kind of cool because like as she was driving me out to the airport to pick up the four-wheel drive, I basically got like a private tour of the entire place. Like she was pointing out places that her relatives lived and what life was like for them living at the Pueblo. It was just awesome. Like, and it was free. It like, I basically got to have like an inside scoop on what it was like to live at the grow up at the Taos Pueblo. So that was a highlight of my trip. But yeah, and then like the other funny side to that story is that when I did get the four-wheel drive, I was going everywhere. I was going on mountain roads you really shouldn't be on, especially somebody. So the only experience I had driving a four-wheel drive was they had a Land Rover demo at this like event that I went to, and they let people test drive a Land Rover over like an obstacle course. That was the only experience I had with a four-wheel drive, and I was going up mountains like at a 45-degree angle. It was just nuts. It's all that stuff that they tell you shouldn't do. That's what we were doing. But the problem was it was just us guys. So it was like my dad and two brothers, and we were literally out there just adventuring. So we were um we were up to no good essentially. But it was a lot of fun. So let me make sure that I don't miss anybody's questions. Um, where do you think the impossible poem lures are hidden? I have given that some thought. So I know that this isn't like you know a secret or whatever. I feel like everybody has at least looked at it, but I think you're supposed to start in Silverton and go from there. And the direction I think you're supposed to go is and Ben's going to come in here and yell at me, but I think the direction you're supposed to go is west out of Silverton. I don't have the poem memorized like I have Forrest Fenn's poem memorized, so I can't go through it with you like just off the top of my head. But I think it matches up. The only problem is that's not like an original idea. Other people have had that idea, and all the places that I think it could be from there, I think people have gone and looked. Now, maybe they just didn't look well enough or whatever. I also think there's a trick to it, right? I think Ben put in like a trick just to make it impossible. So I'm not saying it's like misleading or anything like that. I just think that, it's Ben, right? So there's going to be like some little twist to it. And I think if you look at it from that standpoint, you might have better luck than somebody who's not trying to look for a trick, I think there's a trick. Oh, woohoo, woo woo, all aboard. Yeah, Silverton. Yeah. Silverton looks like a cool place too. Um, The only places that I went to in Colorado, and this is when I went on my trip, so I did like the big road trip thing. I didn't fly out there or anything like that. And that was awesome. Got to see, a lot of the country that I wouldn't have, like, I've been west of the Mississippi, um, but it was always for like conferences and things like that where they fly you out there. Um, I've never gotten the opportunity to like just do the whole cross country um, road trip. So that was really nice. In fact, I remark all the time that I didn't hate Kansas. Kansas was nice. Nobody likes driving through Kansas. Well, I actually did. I thought it was really cool to see that side of America, the rural America where um, honestly, I don't know how they live. Like, I never even saw a Walmart. Like, where do people go for groceries in Kansas? I don't know. But just big open spaces and, you drive like 50 miles without a turnoff. That kind of stuff is cool. Hey Tyler, how's it going? Let's see. Okay. I keep tinkering with things that I can come back to. Let me get the major important things in here. So like there should be some eyebrow stuff. Do need to put in some more shadow through here. But I love these questions. You guys have really good questions. You guys were making me nervous at first when you said like, answer some questions. I'm like, you might ask me about art. I don't know shit about art. My big problem with talking about art is I didn't go to school for this stuff. So like everything I know is just kind of like from watching others. I have an appreciation of art, and I do go to like like I said, I go to art museums just because I enjoy them. Not even for like any kind of educational reason. But as far as like I don't know, like the different styles of art and stuff, I wish I knew. It's stuff that I'm working on. I'm trying to learn that kind of stuff, you know. But again, it's mostly from watching others. To grow their own groceries. Oh yeah, I guess so. But yeah, I guess so, probably. It's just odd to me because like there was whole stretches, like many, many miles, where there wasn't even a turnoff. Like there wasn't a little side road to get that little mosquito. Sorry, just killing mosquitoes. Having dogs go in and out during the summer and time, they attract the mosquitoes. Oops. But yeah, so like I recall that there was like these big stretches of road that just went on forever. So let me get some highlight going in this upper part up here. Smooth this out a little bit. What came first, the chicken or the egg? That's a great question. Well, earlier I mentioned my that I have an interest in the simulation theory, which is that we're living in a simulation, in which case they both came at the same time because that's when they turned the machine on. I don't know. I mean, you can go back and forth on that one forever. Like, you have to have a chicken before you can have an egg, but then you have to have an egg before you have a chicken. Ugh, gonna gonna fry my brain there, guys. I can't think about deep questions like that. I I actually like questions that don't have an answer, just as a mental exercise. But you got to give up at some point. Otherwise, you'll be lost in that kind of thought. Like you'll you'll end up with some existential dread if you think about it too long. Questions like that just make me anxious. Eyebrows are so tough for me, especially like when they're sculpted. All right, so this eyebrow should come out to, oh, I mean, a little bit short. Yeah, so there's little lines that kind of come through here. Sorry, every now and then I have to like pay attention to what I'm doing because like that eyebrow would have been short otherwise. Yeah, both at the same time. Oh, yeah, Tyler, what's your mental exercise, buddy? Yeah, what if they both, all right, so they talk about like the Big Bang, right? Just instantaneous explosion. What if it's something like that? They just both came into being at the same time. Think about it. Like the invention of the chicken, they're like, oh crap, we also need eggs. I have no idea, to be honest. Dog, that's gross. Quit licking yourself. Chicken butt. I have a t-shirt that says that. It has a picture of a chicken on it with an arrow pointing to the butt. Guess what? Chicken butt. So obviously it's just a lot of refining. You start off with this big old mess, and the more you spend on it, it becomes more and more refined, more and more smoother in certain areas. You leave some areas rough, right? Just because that looks cool. Um, but you do want some areas to be smooth, and you just constantly work that. Use this instead. Like her cheek should be smooth. She doesn't have like skin conditions or whatever. So I think it's looking cool. All right, so let me. I think the face is in a good spot to where I can kind of like refine it some more. But let's see, we're at an hour and 20 minutes. So let me move on to some of these extra features, such as, you know, the ears. I hate the ears. Like the nose. Oh, you know what? I didn't finish her nose. Um, Let me finish up her nose and then we'll move to the ear. This is why I always have that moment before I call it done where I kind of like review the picture and make sure I didn't forget like a nostril. It's kind of important. Like you can get lost in some of these features and forget other features. It happens all to me all the time. Like, man, I really like that. I really like these lips, for example. And oh yeah, guess what? I forgot to give her a nostril. All women have them. I know they don't want them, but they all have them. Hey Willie, like you sometimes draw when you're watching these things. You drawing anything tonight? End up at Eric's Ranch. I'm not sure who Eric is. You might have told me. Like if you guys are ever actually drawing while watching this show, that's the kind of stuff I want to know because that's cool. If not, that's cool too. I think if I did go back out west, it's definitely going to be to Yellowstone. Everybody talks so highly of the place that I feel like I should have at least taken one trip because I did a bunch of trips. You know, I went basically every year since 2015 until the end of that thing. So I put in my time. So because it doesn't have like a lot of tooth, it's kind of hard to hold some of these layers. So like this extra layer of highlights, got to really work that into the page. But I think it looks cool. A little sparkle. All right, so this area up here should be pretty white. It kind of comes up. Mash that in, not even blend really. I like to, so as you move away from like the central features, I get a little freer with it, right? So like, I think it's important. Oh, a birdhouse last week. That's cool. Yeah, I hear that on the Swamped with Work, right there with you. Um, so I think that you should refine some of like the focal points, right? But as you move away, like this is just my personal style. You guys can do whatever you want. But as you move away from the focal point, you can get a little more freer, right? So like I'm going to blend some of this highlight in, but I'm not concerned about getting it exactly. Like out here, I'm not going to erase these marks, right? I think that that's fine. I think it looks cool. Um, but yeah, so like just a just my own personal art style that not everything has to be super smooth and refined. It doesn't have to look like a photo. Um, ah, this is the challenging part. I have to reach across to do this ear. So this part is really well lit. I always hate doing these ears. I'm gonna approach it from uh, the light, right? So I know that the light kind of comes around the lobe, I guess. Is this an earlobe? I guess so. All right. I'm gonna give her some earrings just because her ear is so prominent. It looks kind of weird if she doesn't have any. So I'm not too worried about this section. This part here kind of comes up and around. That's this part, I guess. I don't know what that's called. Uh, cry on your secret trip. Why are you gonna cry on your secret trip? Yeah, I do know why. It's important to you, Tyler. Bring that down. There's a little bit of a highlight here. I'll blend some of that in, and then through here, it kind of comes up and then kind of is dark underneath. And then this kind of comes around. I hate ears. They're so weird. Like human beings have weird ears. There's some highlight in here. The problem is, like, for artists who just draw the shapes that they see, it's a weird shape. Gotta make sure I keep my hand out of the white. Kind of blend this in to make it soft. And then I'll come back and kind of reinforce it a little bit. Gotta lightly blend on this paper at least because it doesn't have a lot of tooth. So let's see, this kind of comes around. I had to draw a picture once where the girl had like a lot of piercings in her ear. That was challenging. Yeah, fingers are the worst. Hands are the worst. Eyes are, I mean, ears, sorry. Ears are weird. Yeah, they're just like, I don't know. Like, maybe it's because we look at the face more often than the ears, but they look foreign, right? Like you guys were talking about, she looked like an alien earlier. I don't know if you guys still feel that way, but um, ears make people look like aliens. They're unnatural. They're not. We shouldn't have them. We should just have like little holes in our head so that we can hear. But what good is an ear anyway? I should just leave them off. Van Gogh had the right idea. This is what Van Gogh was thinking when he lopped off his ear. And now I'm starting to understand it. He was like, I'm tired of painting ears. They're dumb. I'm making a joke because he's been dead forever. That's actually a tragedy. Um, if you guys ever heard the story of Van Gogh, he was not a happy camper. He had some issues, which, you know, I think that's pretty common in the art world. I don't want to smooth this out too much because I feel like that'll lift too much of the stuff up. Oh, thank you, Richard. Um, yeah, so like the Van Gogh exhibit that's been going around. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to go to it either. I regret it. I've seen some of his paintings in museums. So like if we're talking about like artists that I enjoy, everybody enjoys Van Gogh. Like obviously Starry Night is one of the most famous paintings in the world, but also just any of his stuff. And then, like not like his stuff isn't like realistic or anything like that. Um it just captures like especially the colors. So like his style is cool. I like his style, but I like his sense of color. It's something I'm envious of because like he knew how to work color. I was watching something on YouTube the other day that was talking about one of his paintings. He it was kind of like of a like an inn or a tavern or something like that, basically a bar. And there was a pool table in it. I forget the name of the painting, but the colors he put in it are specifically designed to make you uneasy looking at the picture, right? Like the colors clash. Things things just don't sit well. Um, it's hard to explain. Like the documentary explained it a little bit better, or a lot better. But that's the kind of mastery he had over color, right? Like he can literally evoke discomfort in the viewer just by what colors he chose for his paintings. That is something I can't do. It's something I can't do, and it's something I don't think I'll ever be good at. I mean, I could practice and stuff, but that's kind of like just intuition. Like that's the kind of stuff that you can't. Well, I guess you can learn it, but I have no idea how he does it. I can't even speak to it. That guy's a master. Yeah, kind of looks like an ear. There is hair. It kind of comes. So there's a line of hair here. Like fine hair, like almost like sideburns. Women don't have sideburns, but you get the idea. Just fine wispy hair, and then that kind of comes down. The reason why I didn't put a lot of detail here is because that hair kind of comes down and around here. And I'm not too concerned about making it perfect because it's meant to just kind of go wild a little bit. And then kind of bring that shadow down a little bit. So I think that that's a good, I think it's good enough for me. I'm not very good at doing ears. So I promise to kind of give her like a little earring. And in the reference photo, she actually has multiple ones, but I'm just gonna simplify it down to one just because I don't feel like going nuts with that. And then there's a glint on it. So let's see if I can get that in there. Yeah. All right. So it's just like a little stud. What's up, because I can? How you doing? So this is since you're just coming in, this is basically like the inverse of my messy charcoal pictures. This is where I started with a bunch of white charcoal, and I'm kind of drawing like the opposite of what I would normally do in my messy charcoal pictures. I don't know what else to call them. I call them messy charcoal pictures just because I feel like it fits. But obviously, like towards the end, it doesn't look as messy as it did at the beginning. So maybe there's probably a better term. So what I like about this is like really the more you work with it, the more smoother and refined it comes. And it starts off pretty rough, but you basically smooth it out as you work on it. I think the term is refining it or rendering it. People, I've heard people use both words, but I like that rendering it because I like to think of it as like 3D modeling, to be honest. Like to me, it really is like sculpting. But in 3D modeling, you're sculpting something, and depending on how many polygons you put in the model, the smoother it's going to look. So all these extra layers are like additional polygons that you're putting in your 3D work. And you're just kind of smoothing it out. And I think her neck comes in. I'm going to have to chop her neck off here. Like, not really, but it should stop here. So let me try to do that with this eraser first. And then if that doesn't work, yeah, I think this will work. So let me put in some really dark hard line there. Um, yeah, if it should stop actually a little bit over here. Kind of come down. There you go. So it looks like she has a small neck, but it's really tucked in behind um, her hair. And just to kind of reinforce that so that it doesn't look so weird, her shoulder would be like around here, right? So I'll go ahead and add more shoulder there so that you don't think that her neck is so small, because in reality it's not. And I'll leave the bottom of it rough because I kind of like that. That looks kind of cool. And she actually has like a necklace on. I'm not going to worry too much about that. All right, so I'm going to leave the bottom of it cool, like textured like that. I like that, but I'm going to smooth out this top so that it kind of gradients into. So now she has like she's a living, breathing person. She has like a shoulder. That's helpful, so your head doesn't fall off. You need something to carry around the head on. So she has a neck and a shoulder. And I like to leave like this kind of stuff unfinished, right? So like as I said, the focal point of the picture obviously is her face, and as you move away from her face, it becomes like less refined. So I kind of want to add a little bit more form over here to this. I know she looked a little gaunt. So let me lighten up this side. Basically, too much shadow. And kind of curve this a little bit. So even up until the final bits, you can still kind of, to greater or lesser degree, remodel. Yeah, she does. So does she look as pissed now? You guys thought she was going to cast a spell on you a minute ago. But yeah, that's the point I was actually just about to make. Even up to the end of the picture, certainly with painting where you're adding layers upon layers, you can redirect the art, right? You can take it in a different direction. Like I can make her face fuller here if I want to. I'm not going to, but I can make her face fuller. I can, like eventually you kind of paint yourself into a corner, or in this case, draw yourself into a corner where you get less options as you go along, but you're still able to work it, right? So like you can, it's like clay. You can still kind of tinker with it as you go along. All right, so I don't like hair up here, so I'm going to add some more details and definition to it. Um, so I often talk about information, right? Like your job as an artist is to convey information. I like to look at it as a communications medium, right? So in this case, I'm communicating to you that it's a person by, the facial structure and so on, right? But there's other things that I can communicate to you as well. So like up here in the hair, um, I feel like it's not doing a very good job of communicating that it's hair. So I want to define it a little bit more. These are the kind of decisions that I make as an artist as I go along, right? Like, when am I done? Well, I'm done when I feel like I've communicated all the things I need to communicate. Here, I feel like this line here looks like it's out of place without actually defining it as like the part of the hair. So I'm going to add a little bit of detail up here to kind of reinforce that line is not just like an accidental line that I drew. I don't know if you guys can hear my cat out there, but that's Archer. I didn't know Jason's son was named Archer. Or Sasha's, I guess. That's kind of cool. She looks constipated. A facial tattoo? Oh man. If I had to reference art for a tattoo, I would draw it on her face. That's not a problem. But I don't know what people's facial tattoos look like just from memory. All right, and then, I want to get a few lines in here. I don't want to overdo it because I kind of like the style of just like the little, you know, things all over the place. But I do kind of want to get this a little more defined. Like especially I want to convey that the hair actually kind of wraps in right at the ear, the eye, and then kind of comes out like this. So I'm not doing a lot here, right? I'm just putting in like little lines and stuff to kind of let you guys know where her hair is going. Now, all through here, I put in that one highlight line, but then to kind of like really reinforce it, I want to get this a little bit darker through here to kind of like really strengthen that cheek. And then the hair will kind of come up through here, and then same deal up here, I guess. So I think that feels a little bit stronger. I'm going to leave this stuff in here, but and then little wisps coming out. And then you know whatever. And then this, I'll put in like a little highlighted. I can get them in there. I want these to be a little bit kind of whimsical. Things in my way. Well, that's a little bit bolder than I wanted, but that's okay. Good thing about it is you can kind of lift some of that up so that it's not as strong. little bit. I don't want to smooth it out too much. But okay. All right. So now you kind of know where her hair is going or whatever. So I'll try to do the same on the other side. Like through here, I want you to know where the light is, right? So I want you to know that there is highlights coming across here. Like I'm not telling you where the light is. I'm showing you where the light is with these highlights. So it's all about communication. Like, what do you want to communicate? Now, do I care about lights in this? To a degree. I want it to look cool. But in some cases, it may be a light study, right? So, like, I'm literally less interested in her face as I am in where's the light at, right? Like, how does light interact with the like her face? If that's a message I'm trying to convey in the go from blank paper. Yeah, like honestly, use the scrub bar. Go back to the beginning. I like how it just kind of comes to life. Believe me, it's not lost on me. Like I enjoy watching it as well. Like I go back and I watch my own stuff. I'm fascinated by it. It's kind of cool. I appreciate that comment. Thank you. A birthmark. I can give her a mole. I love how you guys just want to mess up her face with stuff. Like give her a face tattoo, give her a mole, give her a birthmark. Like just draw like half of her face missing. I could probably do these things. I'd have to think about it for a moment. Like it's a pretty picture, but can you have her eyeball just hanging out? Like see, bring some of that there, and then kind of like I did with the highlights, kind of bring a few strands just to break up that highlighted area. So it's really, again, a lot of these things are just following the light. Where's the light going? How does it interact with the hair? It does help to like I play with 3D models every now and then. Oh, you're trying to challenge me as an artist? Yeah, I mean, it's a challenge. Like, how do I add some of these things and not screw it up? Um, like a facial tattoo. If I knew what like people had on their faces, like I'm trying to remember from like movies and stuff like that what a facial tattoo looks like. Give her a meth pipe, just like I mean, you could easily just have a cigarette hanging out or something like that. We do have our pipes out here. So yeah, I think that's kind of cool. Just following where her hair might go, kind of bring it through here, soften it up. Now, I'm not going to do it on this picture because I think her face is fine, but like say I wasn't happy, like I'm kind of not happy with how far her eye comes out on this side. Like I feel like I could shorten this eye up. So say I wanted to do that, right? Say I wanted to shorten, yeah, I'm just going to do it actually. So say I wanted to shorten this eye so that it's not as wide. I'll start a hair that kind of comes through it, and then I'll have that kind of. So you have to. So this is not in the reference picture, so I have to imagine, right? So if I had a hair just coming down, it would be curved by her cheek, and it would kind of come down, and then it would kind of be curved by this ridge of her eye, and then it would come up and then kind of disappear into this, right? So now that I have that basic thing going, let's kind of reinforce it a bit, right? So it comes out of this mass of hair up here. There'd probably be more than one strand as it kind of comes across here. and then kind of taper off down here. And then maybe kind of like curve a little bit through there so that it's not just one strand. All right. So she's been careless. She let a hair kind of like just fall over her face. Well, if she's going to be careless there, then there should be kind of some more, right? So just kind of bring that through. And then through here, we would have some shadow kind of cast by these strands. So that's not actually hair there, that's just shadow. So I would soften it because it's like actually what happens when the hair falls down over the face. So little things like that. So by doing that, I it's hard to explain because like you guys may feel differently, but to me that makes this eye look less wide, which is cool because I was a little bit concerned about how far it kind of came off over the edge, right? So I can kind of then kind of shadow this out a little bit so that it's more shadow than eye now, right? I mean, that's just to illustrate that you can further shape her face throughout every step of this process. It's kind of what I was getting at with that exercise. Like you're not set in stone. To greater or lesser degrees. Like I can't like, you know, change her face dramatically at this point. I mean, it's a little bit far gone, but I can still make little adjustments. There was a comment earlier that it seemed like she was like ready to cast a hex on somebody, right? I feel like her face is a lot softer now, right? So like you probably are less worried about that at this point. You wish you could shape your face. I would think, yeah. I mean, you're basically doing plastic surgery here with your pencils. So around this, I really want it to be a little bit lighter. So you start losing tooth on the paper. This is just not the best paper for this. Like if you were doing this and you actually cared about the result, you might use some paper with some actual texture to it. Like when I do pastels, I often do that sanding process I'm always talking about. That's so that you have layers that you can put in here. Um, when this paper is super smooth, it doesn't have a lot of tooth to it, so there's only so many layers of uh, pigment I can actually get in here, right? Or layers of chalk essentially. But I think it's fine. Like if I was doing this as a portrait for somebody, I might care a little bit more because like, I'd have to use some fixing on it so that it doesn't like, you know, smear or anything in transit, and I'd care about some of that chalk coming off, but this is just for fun, like we're just doing it for ourselves. Put a little bit of stuff in her eye, kind of to make it look like there's things going on. All right, so there is going to be some highlights on her eyes. I usually say this for the last parts just because I don't know until the end whether or not I'm happy with the shape of things. But she's got some highlight glinting off of that one there. And to a lesser degree, because this is in shadow, she's got just a tiny little speck. And it's really hard because, like, look at how chunky that is, right? So you have to find an edge to it, and you kind of tinker around with it until it leaves a small mark so that you know where it's leaving a mark. And then you can get like a little tiny speck like that. What? There we go. That speck there off of this big chunky thing. So I don't know. It's it's fun. It's just little things. So I actually want this to kind of highlight, and then you get a. Jeez. These pencils do not last. That lead or that chalk in them is so soft that if you put down too much pressure, it breaks. All right, so I'm going to use the hard edge of this to kind of do what I was wanting to do with that pencil, and that is just to add a little bit of highlight up here on the strand that's coming off. So even though it's a big chunky thing, if you use the edges, you can basically use it like a pencil. In fact, many people do, like pastel artists, they don't even use the pastel pencils. The pastel pencils are kind of like a convenience tool so that you don't have to, because eventually that hard edge is going to wear down, and then you're kind of stuck with not being able to do details. All right, so I'm at the risk of overworking it at this point, so I think I am close to calling this done. This is just where I'm kind of going through and, I call it the low-hanging fruit, where you're just kind of going through, kind of evaluating it, deciding where it might need some touch-ups. Like this is where I would be like, oh no, I forgot to include the nostril, and I would do that. But here on the nostril, there's a bit of shadow that was there, so I kind of want to add a highlight instead, and then kind of blend that out. Makes her nose look like it's picking up the light a little bit more. Under her nose, there's also a little bit of highlight. So kind of rough sketch that in. There were some highlights on her lips that I didn't bother with earlier. See if I can get those in. So let me find another sharp edge since my pencil's dead. But there were little highlights of the texture of her lips. And this is, I mean, you really run the risk of kind of overworking it at this point, but I think this is fine. Sorry, on small details and stuff, I kind of get lost in it where I'm no longer narrating, but let's see. All right, so it's hard to see with this resolution of the picture, but that kind of makes that a little more three-dimensional. And then because I added that highlight, this has lost a little bit of tone, so I'm just going to lightly come in and add in some of that mid-tone there so that we don't lose definition of the lips. Just really lightly. Because I don't want you to lose where the lips are and shadows start. So I'm just kind of going back over areas that I've already gone, but that's all it really is just working it until it looks like you want it to look. Let's see. Other little touch-ups. I think that this could be a little bit darker over here in the shadows. Now that I added that. Yeah, that looks like a realistic eye to me. Got eyelashes coming off, and then that's cool. This could maybe be a little bit smoother, this top part of her eye. Sorry, I'm kind of lost in thought here. My best work? I don't know about that. I appreciate it, though. What about that gizmo I drew? Gizmo was awesome. It turned out better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be more of a challenge, kind of basically reversing the process that I'm used to, because like you do develop habits, right? And, there's nothing wrong with that. It's muscle memory. So you end up, drawing something the same way all the time. You're going to get really good at it, but also that's going to become the only thing that you can draw. So I thought switching it up and doing white instead of dark as kind of the base and stuff might be more challenging, but apparently I've leveled up a little bit to where those basic skills that I learned from doing the other way ends up working here. So this is a pastel, and it's a soft pastel. So I know when I apply this, it's going to be super bright. So I'm going to come back and just kind of highlight some areas like softly, where I think that it could maybe be softened up a little bit, like, and have some highlight, just little areas, like up here in her hair or her forehead, just little places where it might catch that light a little bit more. Like some of these things aren't even in the reference photo. It's just when I look at it, I don't care about the reference photo at this point. Now I want my picture to look good, right? So these little things are just to kind of make my picture look better. Some of it's in the reference, like, and when I'm looking at her chin, it's catching the light a little bit more than what I had in here. So let me soften that up. And you know, this soft pastel works really well for that kind of stuff because I know that when I put this down, it's going to be pretty opaque. Some of that other stuff kind of gets lost in it. Because it's really hard to get the stuff to stick. Right. So at this point, I can call it done. I can start putting in some tattoos. I can I can put a big old mole on her. I can add some freckles, whatever I want to do. It depends on what I'm going for. But it is at the 2 hour mark, so I do think that I'm going to call this done. I'm not going to overwork it. I'm not going to try to do like any kind of weird experiments with it and stuff like that. But maybe next time I'll put some big ass tattoos on their face. But anyway, I like this. I really like this messy charcoal effect, both for white charcoal and black charcoal. It works a lot better with white charcoal than I thought, because just the process, you end up with these artifacts that I think stylistically is very cool. It gives it some visual interest. Um, I could do more with their hair and stuff like that, but just having those like little chunks and stuff laying around. It also looks really cool with the black charcoal. Obviously, you guys have seen some of that stuff in the past. But so you start off with it looking that messy, but as you can see, you're slowly creating that softness there. So where she starts off looking like Smeagol, eventually she looks like a real person. So there are some things that I would change here, like people come in all kinds of different shapes and sizes and stuff like that. So it's not like I think there's anything, you know, like anatomically wrong with their face, but there are some things that I would probably change if I was tweaking it even more. Um, I think that I'm not sure if the distance here is correct. It looks fine, but I do think that maybe this side's a little bit wider, but with that strand, it kind of cleans that up a little bit. So I'm mostly happy with it. I don't know. I'm overly critical, nitpicking at this point. But yeah, I think I am gonna call this done. Get that. I always say that. I always say I'm done and then I tinker with it. As long as I don't screw it up, I guess. See, this should come in a little bit more. Yeah, I'm done. I have to call it done. There are some things that I would change and stuff if I was redoing it, but like this is starting from scratch. I didn't have any like base line drawing. Like I didn't get a chance to measure it. All those things that I would do if I was striving for perfection. This is just me trying to get the proportions correct, freehanding it. It's good enough, right? All right. So I'm going to call this done. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Yeah, Gizmo was a lot of fun. Yeah, I would actually like to hear from you guys. I think it was Willy Nilly who said that this might be my best work. I would love to hear comments from you guys. Like, if you like this one, cool. If you like a different one, let me know which one's your favorite and what you guys like to see, going forward. I can create more pictures like this. I can draw cows. I don't care. I'll draw whatever you guys want. So just let me know. And I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I know a lot of you guys got to go to work tomorrow, so I'll let you guys go. But I appreciate it, and Let me switch back to this. There you go. I'll throw this up on the about the community channel. I've been drinking too much of this. I can never seem to talk. Anyway, I'll stop rambling. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I'll see you guys on Friday. Dogs need to go out. Have a good one. Thanks, guys. Bye.